Hi guys, I'm Vicky Tether of Yellow Bee Sugar Art, and today I'm going to show you how to make this model of Frida Kahlo. I'm working with Saracino modelling paste in the skin tone colour. I've rolled it into an oval and then placed my little finger halfway up the oval and rocked back and forth to create a groove. And now I'm just removing the top edge of that groove to give her a smooth forehead. Next up, I'm pushing my thumbs into the groove to create two shallow wells. These are going to form the eye sockets later on. I'm just going around with my fingers and smoothing off the outer edge of the imprints just to make sure I don't leave any harsh lines. And now I'm just shaping the nose with my fingers and the Dresden tool. I'm just pushing the paste away from the nose and backwards so that the nose becomes more prominent. I'm using my fingers just to push the paste of the cheeks and the jaw back a little bit to leave a slight mound. This will help creating the lips later on, and now I'm using the Dresden tool just to draw a short straight line which will become the mouth. The line needs to be about 1 millimeter deep so that it's easier to create the top lip, so I'm just using the wide end of the Dresden tool and just pushing the top edge of that line upwards and then shaping it to create the top lip. The top lip sits at about a 45-degree angle from the rest of the face. And now I'm going to use the wide end of the Dresden tool just to push up from the chin area towards the line in the mouth to create the bottom lip. You only want to push the Dresden tool in lightly, otherwise you're going to create too deep a groove on the chin. Lightly press the Dresden tool on the top lip to create the Cupid's bow, and then we're going to use a tiny ball tool to create the nostrils. I'm just using a slightly larger ball tool to reshape the nose and then going over with my fingers just to remove any of the tool marks. And now I'm using the Dresden tool just to press down just above the tip of the nose to kind of give the character a cute button nose. Now that I've got the facial features in position, I'm going to use my thumb and fingers just to create and shape the jaw. Next up, I'm going back to the mouth and I'm using my Serart K220 tool just to draw in the outer edge of the smile, just to kind of lift her mouth up a little bit so it doesn't look so severe. And I'm just gently drawing in a line there, and then I'm going to use the tool just to add some dimples. I always extend the mouth out past the lips that I've created because it kind of fits the face a little bit better. So I tend to go out a couple of millimeters from the lip area, and then underneath those lines I gently push down with the Dresden tool just to kind of create a little hollow underneath each corner of the mouth. You can use the Dresden or a ball tool for this. Then I'm just going to use my fingers just to smooth away any of the tool marks. And now onto the eyes. I'm using the Serart tool just to add some little marker points for myself. So I've done a dot on one side and then replicated it in the same place, I hope, on the other side, and then doing a further mark around the temple area of each eye. Now that's going to be the widest point of each eye, and then I'm going in with the tool again just to draw a line between those dots. For one, it helps you to see if your eyes are the same shape, and it also gives you a nice base when you're cutting into the paste. Now I'm pushing the Dresden tool, so the wide end of the tool, into the face with the corner of the tool kind of lined up with that inner dot that I've just created, and angling the tool towards the dot on the temple side, and then keep using the tool, moving it around and changing the angle until you've completed the entire eye. This character has quite hooded eyes, so I'm pushing the ball tool up underneath the top edge of the eye and then bringing it back outwards, so I'm just creating a slight bump where the eyelid will be. Fill the eye sockets with 2 small balls of white modelling paste. I try and recreate the shape of the eye with the paste before I pop it in because it's easier to fit the paste that way. The paste needs to sit just underneath the skin tone paste, so you don't want it bulging out. Use the Dresden tool to enhance the eyelids. Just using the Serart tool to create the inner corner of the eye by gently pushing in and kind of down and towards the nose. Push a ball tool around 5 millimeters into the sides of the head. It should be just between the top of the nose and the bottom of the eyes, the area we're aiming for. Then fill with a little bit of edible glue before rolling 2 small cones of the skin tone modelling paste and popping them inside the holes. Use one of your fingers to support the back of the ear as you push a medium ball tool in and then down towards the face. Frida's quite well known for her monobrow, so I didn't want to give her just one big block of paste across her forehead. I wanted her still to look a little bit feminine, so I've just done what I've normally done, rolled 2 long cones of black modelling paste and attached them above her eyes, using the top mark that my thumb left earlier on when we were creating the eye sockets. And then I'm just cutting gently into the paste just to bring out a tiny little kind of pointed triangle of paste, and then pushing that towards the centre of the forehead. Do the same on the other eyebrow, so we've got 2 little extra hairs on there, and then roll a really tiny sausage of paste, fold in half so you've got a V shape, and then glue that next to the eyebrow. You want to do this one more time for the other eyebrow, and then finally create a third little V and stick that in the middle. Because the third piece of paste is so tiny, I'm just using my paintbrush to pick it up and put it into position. I'm just rolling another taper-ended sausage that's big enough to go across the top edge of the eye, using a little bit of glue and the paintbrush just to pop that into position. Do the same on the other eyelid. And then I'm going to add another shorter version of that line just underneath, coming from the outer corner of the eye. Roll a tapered sausage of black modelling paste so it's wide enough and long enough to go from ear over the forehead and back down towards the other ear, and then use your fingers just to press that down into the face because you don't want it to be too rounded. You may notice that I'm not using glue. You don't tend to have to with Saracino modelling paste. It does like to stick to itself, so if I can avoid using glue I will do. I'm now using a scriber needle from PME just to mark in the hairline. So I'm just doing fairly deep lines coming from the skin tone forehead, and now I'm just adding a few kind of ad hoc lines around all over the place. Plaits are quite hard to make in sugar. In the past I've actually tried to make them as you would with real hair, but they end up becoming kind of bulky and thin at the same time. So this way I'm rolling tiny teardrop shapes and then attaching them from the pointed end of the previous one and kind of wrapping it across towards the other side, and then repeating this over and over again until you've got a length of plaited hair. It's quite hard to describe, so I hope the video shows it off a little bit better. Once the plait is long enough, you want to attach it onto the top of the head. So I've gone in at the centre to make sure that's in the right place, and then I'm just going to kind of pull the side bits down towards the ears and fit them in position. Saracino paste is really nice because you can really kind of press down on it without distorting and ruining the shape that you've just made. Using my fingers now to press the paste down onto the top of the head just to make sure it's stuck, and then going back in with the scriber tool and drawing little lines down the length of each of those little teardrops. I'm now adding a centre parting by pushing the Dresden tool into the centre of the hair and then pushing the wide end of the tool in just to widen that out a little bit and then shaping it. To soften the hairline, I'm going to add 4 small pieces of black modelling paste. I've rolled them into long tapered sausages, and I'm going to attach 2 either side of the hairline and then 2 a little bit further down, and then use the Dresden tool to push them into position. The modelling is now complete, so now we're going to move on to the painting, which is where we kind of get to add some really cool details and enhance her features. So I'm using Magic Colours Chocolate Edible Dust Colour for this, and some clear alcohol. I use a product called Paint Mate, which I really like because it doesn't seem to smudge as easily as, say, vodka or gin would. So I've just mixed that together to form quite a thick watercolour paint, and then I'm using a fine paintbrush just to draw a circle inside each eye. Use black paint to draw in the pupil, which is a smaller circle inside each eye, and run a line of the black underneath the eyelid. And then you want to mix a little bit of white with the brown colour you used originally and paint kind of a semicircle along the bottom edge of the eye, leaving a little bit the brown or the dark brown visible at the bottom. Mix up some white paint using snow white coloured dust and draw in 2 tiny dots on each eye. They should be in the same position on each eye. These act as highlights and make the eye look a little bit more alive. Need to make sure the black and brown paint has dried before you add the white. Apart from her monobrow, the other defining characteristic of Frida is her love of eccentric hair decoration. So I'm rolling a taper-ended sausage from some blue modelling paste, and then I'm going to attach that just in front of the plaits on top of her head and use my fingers just to pat it into position and smooth it. I've got 2 different shades of green paste. One is kind of a mint green and the other one's more of a zesty lemon lime, and I'm rolling each of those into a small cone and then flattening between my fingers before using the Dresden to add a central vein. Next, I'm going to attach them to the hairband in small clusters. I've got a couple of shades of pink that I'm using for the ribbon roses. So to make these, you want to roll small sausages of the chosen pink colour and then flatten it between your fingers so you've got kind of a slightly chunky strip of paste and then roll them from one end to the other end, and then you're going to attach them in small little groups on top of the hairband between the leaves. For the earrings, I've shaped some yellow modelling paste into diamond shapes, and I'm gluing those onto the bottom of the earlobe and then adding a small ball of the same coloured paste at the base of each diamond. Now we're on to my favourite part, which is dusting. I didn't used to do this, but a couple of months ago I picked up a model and thought it looked a little bit flat in the photos, so I added a little bit of dust colour and bam, it looked amazing. So now I try and dust all of my characters if I can. So I'm using a peach colour from Squire's Kitchen, and I'm going around the top of the forehead, along the chin, around the outer edge of the nose and above the eyes, between the eye and the eyebrow. Certain areas of the face will need a little bit more shading, so I've added a little bit of chestnut dust colour from Squire's Kitchen in with the peach, so I've kind of blended them together, and I'm going to go round in the areas where I think it needs to be a little bit darker. For the mouth, I'm actually using a makeup brush that I picked up from Amazon, and I've got some Petal Rouge from Magic Colours, and I'm just gently dusting that over the mouth just to kind of give a really nice diffuse colour. It's not shown on screen, but I've also added a little bit of alcohol to the Petal Rouge colour and painted in the lips. And then I'm moving on to the cheeks, again with the Petal Rouge colour, and this time with a contouring makeup brush. If you would like to pick up some of these brushes, you can check out my Amazon Associates page, which will be linked below, and then you can find the brushes that I use. Finally, I'm going over all the other features on the character, so I'm dusting some yellow on the earrings, I've got some dark green for the bottom middle of each leaf, and then a little bit of pink to go on each of the roses. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please subscribe to my channel, give me a like, and then pop a comment below if you have any questions.